Hey guys, so welcome to a new Rediscovering My Supplies video. Today we are going to be using the Ecoline watercolor markers. I only have 4 of them. The sepia, the red, the black, and blue. And first I wanted to show you a little bit of this watercolor sketchbook. I believe it is a Hanmüller watercolor sketchbook. And it's in this sketchbook I just do really sporadic, no idea, no plan type of doodles. And this page, as you can see here, they're just really shapes, and then I go into more formal things. But every now and then I'll have a page of just color, forms. There's a skull with some metallic paint, a lot of flowers. It was really just a stream of consciousness, you could say, type of sketchbook. And I have only a few pages left, so I decided to grab the sketchbook. Oh, and I just absolutely love this dragon. I don't know, I just love drawing dragons. They're one of my favorite things to draw. But so I decided to grab this sketchbook and draw another page in it with these markers. Because the first time that I tried them out, I don't know, I just didn't really like them. I didn't really get the whole scope, you could say, of how to use them. But now that I've been playing around with markers, mainly alcohol markers, I thought, you know what, I'm going to give them another chance. As you can see, my little guy is playing in the background there. So I grabbed my blue Colorise Prismacolor pencil, and I just started sketching. And since Thanksgiving is coming up, I thought that with these colors that I have, the easiest thing to draw would be a turkey. And since they have these really odd looking hanging skin and they look very alien-esque, I thought it would be a cool drawing to do. Excuse me while I take a sip of my coffee. Oh, it's hot. Yeah, and so here I'm just sketching the shape of it. I'm mainly looking at the picture when I sketch. I try to pay less attention to what I'm drawing and more to the image itself, because I've noticed throughout the years that if I pay more attention to what I am drawing versus what is being represented there, what I should be drawing, it clashes. It doesn't come out as well. So I try to keep my eyes on the picture and less so on the page. I hope that makes sense. And I'll just quickly glance over at my sketchbook to see what it is that I am doing. Where is the pencil? Is this line right? Does it coincide? But they're only very quick glances. I really keep my focus on the reference picture or on the subject, and just really pay attention to how the lines fall. How does the shadow fall? What are the tonalities? What are the angles? Where's the curvature going? Which direction should my pencil be leaning? And so on and so forth. And I've noticed that it is through this process of truly observing, and I know that sounds really abstract, just to observe, but it's really to solely focus and like pull the image, the object, the subject, the view apart into small manageable pieces. So for example, if I'm looking at a house, even though that's the worst example I could pick because I am horrible at architectural drawings, but let's say I'm looking at a house and I'm going to look at the space between where the house begins and where the window starts, and then try to grasp that reference. And then where does that window stop, and where does the door start, and where within that line of the window should I draw the top part of the door, and where in reference to the bottom of the house should I draw the bottom line of the door, and so on and so forth. With an animal, I would look at where does the face begin? Where does the eye begin? How much of space in between the eye and where the face begins should I be leaving? Where does the nose come out, or the beak, or where is the jawline in reference to the eye? Where does the top of the head go in reference to the eye? Or, I always pick a point of reference and then I go from there as if it were my starting point on a map. That's another good reference. Look at it as if it were a map. And where is the starting point and where's the end point? And then you can kind of go from there. I hope this wasn't all gibberish. I hope that made some sense. But that's kind of what I'm thinking of when I'm drawing things. And there's no shame in, going back. I know you shouldn't erase, and I really try not to do that. However, since I don't want so many lines to be appearing, I don't mind for some lines to stay, because as I've said before, I think that really gives a lot of intrigue and interest to pieces. But I do erase some lines that are truly bothering me. And I'm sorry here, this is really not a good capture since my hand is in the way. I'm very sorry, but that's my process. So I'm going to speed through here a little bit so that you don't always have to stare at my hand, but then we can go right into the coloring section. So now that the sketch is done, I am just deciding, if I'm going to be using black line art or colored line art, and I decided to use similar inks for any lines that I want to add. And I have my water brush, Arteza water brush. No, it's not sponsored. I bought this on my own. I am a nobody at this moment, so it's not like I'm being sponsored by anyone. And so I start with the red, because that's just the main part of the face. That's really what you see. And again, sorry for my hand. You'll be seeing parts of this once my hand lifts and I realize that the hand is in the way. I just do some lines, and then once I've created these lines, I pick up the water brush pen and I kind of try to spread it out, because there are parts that are less intense, that are more pink, and the beauty of watercolors is that from one color you can get all these different hues and intensities. So with this one red marker, I think it's a vermilion, so it's more of an orangey red, I'm able to get darker hues, mid-tone hues, and very light hues. So see all those lines there that I have? And now I will be grabbing the brush marker, not the marker, the water brush, and I'm just spreading out that pigment so it's less saturated in parts, and it just flows so nicely. Now with watercolor markers, you have the problem that they do not all spread equally the same. There are some pigments that are very stubborn, and once you put them on the page, there's no going back. You cannot spread them to save your life, and then they can look really, really nasty. So you need to really just play around first with the markers and see, what works best with what. And so again, I'm just gonna fast forward here a little bit so you can get a better glimpse of what is happening. So I added some water to the rest of the neck of the bird to ease a bit, and now I grab the blue marker, and here I angle my hand so it's better for you guys to see, just to add more of a depth to the image, to create more of like a purpley color to some of the folds and where the shadowing is going to be. And I love blue shadows. I absolutely love it. And then I try to spread the pigment, but see here, The blue does not spread as easy as the red did, because you can see that with the rest of the neck there's this nice pink hue to it. That there was a bit of red still on the water brush, so I was able to use it for the top of the head and the neck, because the bird, the reference, it has like this pinkish but with the blue overlay color. And so I'm adding some blue, and since it's wet already the pigment is spreading, so that way it doesn't immediately get absorbed by the page, but you're able to maneuver the color a little bit. So I was spreading it all over the place to see if that would help. So now I'm going to fast forward again. And this is just a fun part. You can go back and forth and add color and little streaks and just play. It's just play. It's just so much fun to do. I mean, you're not doing this to impress anyone. That's what sketchbooks are for. It's just to have fun. And nowadays with Instagram and patrons and YouTube, it's just taken so seriously. I mean, of course, there are really serious, important pieces of art that are created to bring about social awareness or emotional connection with other people, or just to express yourself. But everyday art of little cartoons, of a turkey, it's just for fun. And I think that it's necessary. It's necessary to just be lighthearted and just to do it for art's sake. Like Oscar Wilde would say, just to create, nothing else. It's not for anything. It's not because it's not to stand out. It's just to be. It's just to be, to just enjoy. Just like a sigh, or to just sit and look at the ocean. You just sometimes you just have to disconnect and do it. And that's what art is for me, that I can just disconnect and just enjoy. Because sometimes it can be really difficult to pay attention to every little thing that's happening in life. And so in these moments where I'm able to just sit down with a sketchbook and a piece of paper and some pencils or paint or markers or whatever, and just draw, and then it feels so good. I feel so at peace, and then I have something to look back at, and that I've created. It's my own thing. It's my own representation, because the way that I drew it, no one else can really draw it that way. It will always be different. It's like a fingerprint. It might look similar, but it's always different. And at first I wasn't sure if I should even post this video because of how carefree I was creating this turkey. But then after looking at it, I really liked it. I liked how sloppy it was. I liked how weird it looked. I liked how kind of scary, because I really like I really like those scary, dramatic artworks and illustrations that kind of make you feel uneasy. I mean, I don't know if this piece really, or not really, it's not a piece, this doodle makes anyone feel uneasy. Maybe it does, but it's I mean, it's not cute and cuddly. At least it's it's somewhere within the depths, let's put it that way. I don't know if that makes any sense, or if I'm being very abstract with my words, but it is definitely not airy. And on this part now, I've finished with the body for the moment at least, and I'm creating the feathers. And as I said, since it's just a little doodle, I didn't really want it to be very complex. I really wanted a sense of just fun. And so I sat there and I thought for a little bit of how I should create the feathers, how would be the best way. And also I needed to let it dry just a little bit, because if you put these markers on very wet paper, the tip of these markers just absorbs the water and then no pigment comes out. So I decided to go back a little bit and play around with the red to give more lines, a bit more of a feel of folds of skin. And wait for the bottom part to dry a little bit so that then I could press my marker and create shapes of the feather. And then I also add some more blue for the shading. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was really a lot of fun. And I'm really absorbed by this. See, I'm just pressing the marker down to create shapes. First I do a bit of blue, then I grab the sepia, because the mixture of the sepia and the blue I really liked. I really liked having those undertones of blue. I'm just swiping. You can see those swipes of the marker. And I change the angle, and I try to imitate, you could say, those feather markings and leaving gaps in between for some of the wider feathers and trying to overlap them. And then I also grab the black and I add a bit of depth to it in certain parts. And yeah, this was truly a lot of fun. Truly a lot of fun. It is a true joy to just go back and explore your materials, because as artists we can fall into this habit or routine of just always using the same things because we're familiar with how they work. We know the effect that they're going to create, and since it creates a pleasing effect or a pleasing result, we always go back to the same things. But since I'm in a moment where it's a moment of growth, you could say, because I'm being exposed to a different culture and different environment. My role in life has changed more to not only a caregiver of the 3 children, but also taking care of so many things. So many things. And learning another language and everything. So it's a really good moment to just go back and explore materials that I had either decided not to use or didn't have the time really to explore fully, or just never used them. And these markers were one of them. And I think in the next videos I'll be trying my pencils, my color pencils, because I've never really done a good job with them, to tell you the truth. I've always used them for little details here and there, but I've never really used them to their full capacity, and I think it's time. I think it's time to really explore them. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm really enjoying doing this series, and I really think there's a sense of quality and intrigue when you don't add music, when it's just me talking and some background noise. Thank you for watching, and I hope you explore as well. Have a great day. Bye, guys.